Hi, Miko.
Hi, Julia.
Nice day today,
Yes.
especially since the house is so cool, literally.
And yeah, that's actually what we can talk about today, some passive cooling techniques when designing a home.
Great.
Hi, I'm Miko Delos Reyes. I'm an architect with Imagimax, and I'm excited to join the Presello team again here today for another episode of Design Insiders.
And if you haven't seen that first episode, make sure you check the link in the description. Today, however, we will be talking about passive cooling design for homes.
So we're here in Julia in this house because I wanted to show you firsthand what passive cooling could actually do to a home. So today I could share 5 important tips about passive cooling.
Great. Actually, this topic is very apt considering our Philippine weather. So what is the first thing that you consider when designing for passive cooling?
So the first tip I can give is to really know your property well and know where the wind direction is in reference to that property. So in the Philippine context, for example, we're talking about 2 wind directions. You have the amihan winds, the cool winds that come from the cooler regions of the globe, that comes from the northeast. And then you have the habagat, the monsoon winds, which come from the southwest direction.
Oh, okay.
So if you'd like to capture the winds, it would be ideal if your house could capture both winds for the entire year.
Wow, right. That is so cool. Yeah, that's cool. Okay.
So somewhat related to the wind, another thing you could take note of is also the sun direction. So of course the sun anywhere in the globe rises in the east and sets in the west.
Yeah.
So in
This
the
is something
Philippines-
Filipinos are very particular with.
Yes, because of our heat, since
Yeah.
we're close to the equator. In the Philippines, the sun is oriented a little bit more towards the south. So the warmest part of your house at any point in the day might be the southwestern region. So to again maximize on cooling, you'd want to avoid putting your bedrooms or your living areas on the warmest parts of the house.
Okay. Yeah.
So for example, to apply that into an actual design, I would locate the service areas and other areas in the house that you don't spend a lot of time in on the warmer portions of the house, and prioritize the cooler sides for places like your bedroom or your living room.
Yeah, where people spend the most time.
Exactly.
So that's cool. Okay, all right. It's a very nice tip. So admittedly, this house which you designed is, beautifully placed. It's fortunate that this place or this house is here. But what about lots that aren't quite as fortunate to catch all of the sun and the wind?
Yeah, so in the Philippines, a subdivision lot is more the common context.
Yeah.
So I would still recommend that you take special note of the sun and the wind direction when possible. But for smaller subdivision lots, in the city, for example, I would take the context of neighbors and roads into consideration.
Right.
So in
Elevation and stuff. and such.
Exactly, yeah. So in our projects, for example, the road would not be a prioritized location for me because of the traffic and the noise that you might get from the road. So I wouldn't locate any of the rooms or the living spaces directly adjacent to the road.
To the road, yeah, so
Yeah.
that it's more quiet.
And another thing you could also take note of that we usually look into for our projects, if there's an existing neighbor, we try to see the way their house is designed.
right.
So if
So
if
their windows aren't
house-
facing yours.
Yeah, exactly. Or if their service area is on one side of the property, you'd probably want to consider locating your service area on the same side of the property also.
Right. That makes sense. So that actually adds to the design challenge
Yes,
in a good way. Okay.
exactly. So you might have a situation where you're in conflict between the wind direction, the sun direction, and your neighbors.
And your neighbors.
But at the end of the day, I think you weigh all the options and you still pick
Well, that's what
the
design's
best
about.
one. Exactly.
Figuring out how to make all the puzzles fit.
Yes.
Okay.
So a fourth tip I could share is while we're trying to encourage, of course, light to enter the house and also wind, we also have to protect from these elements. So too much light could bring in a lot of heat, and too much wind could also be your enemy because we are located in the Philippines and the typhoon winds are very strong. So for example, in this house, we took special note of the eaves. So the eaves here extend almost over 8 feet. So the wide eaves of the house
Really
provide, our intention was to provide enough protection from the heat and also the wind so that you could leave the doors open and still get protected from the elements.
It's amazing. I definitely would have noticed the light hitting, parts of the house if it were sunnier today, but it is cloudy. But what I did notice is how cool it was throughout the entire home.
Yeah, so that's a fifth tip that we could actually talk about, which is cross ventilation. And to get more into the idea of cross ventilation, it's actually allowing the air in, but also finding an exit path for the wind to pass through.
Yeah.
So, for example, in this house, most of the rooms, or all of the rooms rather, have openings on at least 2 of the sides. More ideal if the 2 sides are on opposite ends of each other.
Right.
And even more ideal when those 2 opposite ends are oriented in the wind direction of northeast and southwest.
The amihan
and the habagat. Exactly.
Amazing. Right. So guys, you should really take in these tips when you design your home. Hope you guys learned some valuable tips today, especially since all of those tips were incredibly applicable to our Philippine weather. I mean, it's applicable to any design for homes, but specifically here for our tropical country. That being said, though, if you want to get in contact with a seasoned architect such as Miko, where will they reach you?
Well, in case anyone wants to contact me or Imagimax, you could contact me through Presello on www.presello.com.
Right. And if you haven't already, do you mind saying it? Like the click, like, and subscribe and everything.
Click like and subscribe if you haven't already.
And we'll see you in the next one. Bye. Hey guys, if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, make sure you click here. And if you want to see more house tour videos, click right here. And we also have this new thing called Working Lunch with Presello, where I and a few random people talk about a few random things related to real estate. So if you want to join in on the conversation, make sure you click right here.